Many people think only large corporations can afford computer networks, but connecting your company's PCs is relatively inexpensive. In fact, it can actually save you money. This is because networking allows you to share resources such as printers, modems, and CD-ROM drives. For example, suppose you have one printer that several people need to use. It would probably be wise to establish a network and give everyone access to that printer rather than buy a printer for each person's workstation. In this article, we will discuss various aspects of PC networks, and we will provide a brief overview of their hardware requirements and approximate cost. There are essentially two types of network architecture: client-server and peer-to-peer. In the client-server scheme, a central server handles all security and file transactions. In peer-to-peer networks, each machine shares its own resources and handles its own security. Client-server is the more expensive of the two to implement because such networks require a central file server. Although you can use many types of computers as your file server, you will get the best results if you use a dedicated, high-end machine, so you will have to spend at least a couple of $1,000s on a computer that you will be able to use only as a server. An exception is Microsoft's Windows Server, which can run applications while acting as a network server. However, doing so can severely impact network performance. The other disadvantage to client-server networks is the cost of the server software. For example, you can expect to pay about $1,200 for a copy of Windows Server 2008. The core software package authorizes you to connect 5 PCs to your server, and then it requires you to pay a client license fee of around $70 for each additional PC that you connect to your network. The pricing scheme is similar for Novell NetWare, another popular server platform. In fact, client-server networks are so expensive to set up that you may be wondering why anyone would ever choose this option. The answer is that this network structure offers a wide range of powerful administrative tools, which are particularly useful in an environment where security is an issue. In a client-server environment, the dedicated file server controls the level of access that client PCs have to shared resources. Peer-to-peer networks aren't nearly as expensive to create, since you don't need a dedicated machine, server software, or special client licenses. In fact, all the software you need comes with Windows operating systems. This affordability often makes peer-to-peer networks ideal for small businesses or home users. However, the main disadvantage of using this type of network is that you sacrifice security by placing network control in the hands of end users. Therefore, this network strategy is obviously inappropriate for high-security environments. Network cabling. After you decide on the type of network you want to build, you need to determine the cabling to use. Your choice should depend on how fast you want your data to travel and how much money you want to spend. It is also important to keep in mind that some types of cable are easier to install than others, so you will save a considerable amount of money if you can install the cable yourself instead of paying a consultant or an electrician to do the job for you. For small to mid-size networks, we recommend using 10BASE-T cables. They are moderately priced at less than $20 per machine, and they are as easy to install as a telephone. You just plug them into a jack. In fact, the RJ45 connector on 10BASE-T cables looks very similar to a telephone connector, as you can see on your screen. If network speed is your main concern, you will be happy to know that 10BASE-T cables can carry data at speeds of up to 100 megabits per second. However, no matter what type of cable you use, the speed at which data travels across your network also depends on your network cards and hubs. Network cards. A network card is a circuit board that plugs into an expansion slot inside your PC. It provides the jack for connecting a network cable to your PC. 10BASE-T network cards are available in speeds of 10 megabytes and 100 megabytes. Obviously, 100 megabytes cards are faster, but they also cost more. Hubs. If you plan to network more than 2 PCS, you will need a hub, which is a device that directs network traffic. A hub has several ports into which you can plug your network cables. One end of each network cable plugs into the hub, while the other end plugs into a PCS network card. Small hubs are relatively inexpensive, although you will pay more for high-speed or multi-port hubs. Networking two machines. It costs very little to establish a 10BASE-T network between two PCS because you don't need a hub. All you need is a network card for each machine and a special 10BASE-T cable called a crossover cable. You plug one end of this cable into each machine's network card,